Hey, this is Sebastian for the Metal Gods Meltdown, and today I'm joined by
Leah Unamark,
And Parker Halib from
Wings of Steel.
Motherfuckers.
That's right.
It's live in France. It's just been released like literally days ago. How happy are you then with the feedback from media and fans?
It's been great, man. So far, it's absolutely blown us away. It's that tends to be the case when we put something out, which is completely humbling. You know, we didn't expect to actually have a live album out at all because we weren't anticipating recording this one. It actually kind of just happened to be that the guy who set up the show for us, he came up to us after the show backstage and he told us that he recorded it. And so if we wanted to make something happen, we could. So we're like, cool, dude. Let's make a live album. So here we are.
That's the next question, because that must have been like, what the fuck? But that's just testament to you guys live, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Right. It's pretty much as authentic as it can possibly get.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, had we known that we were going to do a live record, we are going to, okay, well, let's record a couple shows so that we can pick the best. But it was just, okay, you got this show. You know, it was pretty good. Let's just use it, you know?
So, that's what I mean, man. Total testament to everything you do, isn't it? I mean, he's gone and just done that. You know, some bands they go to different venues and he's done it. That's amazing. How was that crowd in France? It sounds pretty awesome. Was it a full capacity? Was it full up?
I mean, that was out of all of the headline shows that we played, that was like the second highest attended one. I think that the one in Paris had a little bit more people that we played on that tour, but so I mean, it was, I think, like something like 260 people maybe for a headline show.
Wow.
So I mean, it was pretty filled. There was a lot of people, you know, for us, because this is the first time we've ever played the show in France, and it's like there's that many people that showed up. Holy shit!
Really
yeah.
cool.
Yeah. I mean, it was really great. You can really hear on the record too, like they were really letting us know that they were there. So and also too, it was a really cool venue. It had a really high ceiling. It was like a kind of like a theater. So the sound in there was also just naturally really good too. So it worked. It was very nice that happened to be the show that we recorded.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And so you played France, Belgium, my favourite country. Gigs, festivals, fantastic, and Germany. But which moment on this tour stands out the most for you then?
It's hard to say. I think every show had something to bring to the table. I mean, I think it was really cool to play the show that we were talking about in Lille, where we recorded this album, because the sound was really good. Rock Hard Festival in Germany was probably the biggest festival that we played. The sound was just absolutely fantastic there too. And I mean, we were the first band out throughout the day, and we were like blown away by how many people came out. Probably, you know, they heard us from camp or something and they like came in. So, you know, that was super, super cool. But headline shows too, you know, there's something special to be said about it, because, you know, people come out there to see you, and being the first tour we ever did in Europe is the first time these people were actually able to come out and see us. So it's hard to just pick one show, man, because every single show was like really special, you know. But in terms of like sound and like how big the stage was, I think Rock Hard was like super cool.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say too, like just of this tour, the first two shows that we played were festivals. We played this one called No Playback Festival in Germany, and then we did Keep It True Festival also in Germany.
Also really cool, yeah.
And so we were the first band of the day at both of these festivals, and we just remember, you know, we were there and we're getting the, you know, the line check and everything plugged in, and like, you know, there's like, well, okay, there isn't really anybody here, you know, and then they open the doors and they start playing, and then like after like two songs, like the venue is like filled out. We're like, holy shit, that was quick. You know? So, but yeah, I mean, every show we played on this tour was really special. So I'm really glad that this live album is like a cool, like it captures the energy that we had from that tour. So
It definitely does. Have you actually got a tattoo of the horses yet? Have you got a tattoo yet? No? Oh, you've got one? Has he? Oh, very good. I'm impressed. That's cool. Love it.
Immortalized
Forever, man. Love it. All right. So will there be any more single releases from this album? And when can we expect a new album?
Well, So the live in France is everything is out now. So the full record is released. It's on all streaming platforms. There's CDs and vinyls available from our website, but I'm sure we'll plug all that later.
The shirts too. You got the shirts as well.
Yeah, the shirt's cool. Love the cut shirt. Yeah.
But yeah, so as far as like a new studio release, Leo was actually just out here in LA with me, and we wrote and mostly recorded everything except for the drums. Pretty much a brand new Wings of Steel record, so that'll be coming out probably sometime next year. Stay tuned. There'll be some singles before that too, but yeah, we don't want to talk about it too much because
it's fine.
got this live album.
Yeah, I know.
Let's give this one the time
Definitely.
of day. But yes, there is some more new Wings of Steel songs in the works. So.
From LA, then, I mean, when I was growing up, LA was the place to be. The Sunset Strip and all that. The Troubadour, I think that's gone now, isn't it? The Whiskey A Go Go, everything like that. I mean, a lot of the venues that have gone, do you sort of like kind of pinch yourself and think, fuck, I wish we were like around back then in the 80s rather than now? I bet you do. I had
you know, growing up, like, every day, man. Every day I was like, dude, I'm born into the wrong decade, you know? But having been out there for some time now, like, there's something good to be said about it, too. You know, back in the days, you had so many bands that were all doing heavy metal, all doing, like, similar stuff that we're doing, right? And there were a lot of really good bands, too. Not to say there aren't good bands now, but there was, like, a flood of them back in the 80s, and we know that because every now and then you come across an album, you're like, what the hell is this? Got like no attention whatsoever because there was just so much going on, you know. Now you don't quite have that, and we're able to kind of at least try to pave the way in terms of coming back with heavy metal from LA as good as we can. So there's definitely something good to be said about it too.
Do you fancy doing what Jizzy Perrell did with the Hollywood sign? Have you ever seen that? What do you know about that? Where he like he dug himself up on the Hollywood sign.
Oh
shit! Yeah, fuck. You gotta like fly a drummer in or something.
He got the attention worldwide back in the day. Yeah, he did. Europe, was that the first time you'd ever been into Europe yourselves? Or had you been on holiday before?
Well, Leo's actually he's from Sweden, so that wasn't his first time. For me, that was the second time I had actually ever been to Europe. So I'd been there once before, so it was cool to come back. But actually, with the other guys in the band, so our rhythm guitar player, he was born in the U.S., but actually when he was like 8, he moved to Switzerland, so he kind of grew up in Switzerland. So and then he moved back to L.A., and that's how we met him. And then the bass player and drummer that we had, Matt and Marcel, the bass player was from Belgium and the drummer's from Germany. So we ended up kind of building the lineup together. This was because the guys we had out in LA, except for Stefan, like they couldn't come to Europe with us, and we're like, okay, well, you know, we need people, but it's like, well, we also know some people in Europe. Why don't we just see if they want to do it, so we don't have to deal with looking for people out here? And it all kind of worked out, and yeah.
So Leo, I've got to ask you then. I mean, I've been doing this a long time, and most of the bands I interview are from Sweden. Why? It's amazing, isn't it? The Swedish metal scene and that. I mean,
it's got to be something in the food. I think maybe the air. Not entirely sure, but no, you know, it's there's a lot of good bands from Sweden. You know, there's no way around that. There's a lot of, and there's still great bands coming out of there. I grew up in a part of Sweden where there weren't a lot of stuff going on. I actually grew up on an island southeast of the mainland Sweden. So I decided to move to LA. I just called, you know, I kind of had it. There was like few musicians on that island, and I was like, you know what, I could move to like Stockholm or Malmo or whatever, but I could also just like move to LA, you know, following my childhood dream of playing the Strip and, you know, finding my dream band and all that. And you've done it. And that's when I met Parker, you know, at college, in music college. So it worked out at the end of the day.
That's so cool.
He didn't find the glorious Sunset Strip of the 80s, but he met this guy, so I guess
yeah, maybe you've played the Whiskey, haven't you? Have you played the Whiskey?
Yeah, that's the first show we ever did. It was at the Whiskey, actually.
Wow. That must have been amazing. Absolutely. And the Rainbow Bar, and I sort of like that growing up. That place we used to just hear about LA all the time growing up. And I was so into the scene back then. I still am, but you know what I mean. So you change a bit. But it's just nice to have you guys doing what I love from back then. I bet so many people my age tell you that, because we all had hair then. Like I said, I mean, my hair was that anyway. I hate you musicians because you always had long hair. Even the older guys, what's going on? You know?
Hey man, it's the answer is in what you said. We're musicians. We're musicians, man. We can't afford to cut it.
You know what I mean? It's like, really?
Yeah.
It's not even a wig. Right. So when you're out on a tour, what do you like best and worst about touring? I suppose in the States it'll be the traveling.
Well, I'll start with the worst thing so we can focus on the positive. The worst thing is for me is the lack of sleep.
Mm-hmm.
The lack of sleep is my worst enemy. I am not a fan. That's, you know, I mean, I would say now we're going to move up the scale towards more positive things. So I think
Definitely.
now above that, and this is kind of hit or miss. Sometimes you'll find, I mean, especially, yeah, when you're in France and you're cruising around, like some places, like you just look out and you just get really, really good food, you know, so that's awesome. But also some other times it's like, what's for dinner? It's like, okay, there's pizza and there's beer. It's like, well, you know, it's a very heavy metal meal, you know, nothing wrong with that. But
after a while, though, yeah, it comes.
No. So now we move up the scale, and it's like, okay, so especially when you go in Europe, right? Like you get this, there's all, you know, you're going through all these different countries and all these different cities, and it's like, you know, oh, over here there's like this really awesome historical thing. Over here there's just, you know, so like there's a lot to see. So on one hand, so that's, you know, so that's really cool. But then on the downside of that is like, well, it's also like you don't always have a lot of time to see it, because a lot of times if you have back-to-back dates, it's basically like you show up, you go to the venue, you play the show, and then you crash or you drive to the next one and you do it again. But you still get some time to see some stuff, so that's cool. So that's okay. So now we're moving up the scale. So now I think just for me, I think the best part about it is just being able to play the shows live, play the music live, and share that experience with people, and then also like get to meet a lot of our fans that are out there who came to the show, who listen to and like what we do. I mean, I think that's really like that's the thing that makes dealing with all the other stuff on the tour like totally worth it, you know, like it's the coolest thing in the world, you know. And I mean that's what bands do. Like you go out and you play your music live, and like that's what it's all about. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Parker said it all right there. I'll give you a way shorter answer. I think the worst thing for me is something he mentioned too, which is the food. You know, being the singer, the food you get before a show, like it's kind of important what I throw down my body. I can't really have like a lot of dairy products and shit because my voice gets affected by it, and I can't really control that. So, and I'm used to like eating healthy stuff. So I have to like go out of my way to try and find food. But it's really hard if you're like playing in the middle of like nowhere, you know. So, like, I think that was probably the worst part. However, there were times where we got some absolutely great food during the recording of this live album. Well, not during the recording of it, but right before the recording of it. We actually had like a private chef for that show, which was freaking amazing. He made like a huge like buffet of stuff for us to eat from, which was amazing. The best thing, I'll just go straight to the top. It's like Parker said, it's playing all the stuff, man. Like we wrote this stuff to perform it live. That's what it's all about. And it took us a long time to finally get out there and do this shit. I mean, we had two albums by the time we actually got out to like Europe and started touring for real. So that's definitely been the best, and I'm pretty sure that will continue to be the top.
Totally. And of course, hopefully next year you'll get over to the UK as well. That'd be amazing too.
Totally, man.
We very much want to get out there, man.
Yeah, so top 3 albums, I would say Heaven and Hell, Black Sabbath. I would say Sad Wings of Destiny, Judas Priest, and Black Rose by Thin Lizzy.
Great choices. Yeah. And you, Parker?
Well, I'll say the caveat is that, you know, I personally cannot narrow my taste down to 3, but I will give you 3.
Don't do me like that, bro. Fuck.
You know, So I'm gonna go with start number one. I'm gonna do Blue Murder, self-titled. Great
Yeah.
record, awesome production. John Sykes just kills it everywhere. Um, Number two, let's go with Lightning to the Nations by Diamond Head. Cool record. I mean, I really like. I mean, it's not the most like refined thing, but I think it was one of the earlier like records that I personally discovered from that kind of style. And I don't know, I like they're just they're a really fucking sick band to listen to. Like they sound really good as a band. Um, yeah, I mean, I'll go with that one, and then let's see here. The last one. Maybe I should pick something from the 70s. Let's go. Well, you know what? Because we're talking about Alive, I'm gonna go with is this Alive? I think this is Alive. I'm gonna go. I would have said Rainbow Live 77 because that's probably my favorite live album, but I'm gonna go with Led Zeppelin, The Song Remains the Same, because I discovered that one when I was younger. Yeah, that was like the first live album I really got into, and that I don't know. That's like the best, or at least a lot of the best. There's stuff they didn't play there, but that's a lot of like the money from Led Zeppelin is in that record. And it's really cool. You know, they're a sick live band. They extend the way they extend like Dazed and Confused and all that. Like, you know, it's really cool. So those will be my three records. But obviously, there's a lot more I could have named.
Yeah, I know. I'm sat here like surrounded by music. Someone asked me, I haven't got a clue really. I know Skid Row is one of my favourite albums. But yes, everyone's like, why? Because it is. My youth. Right.
Okay, well, I'll go first again. Then I'll say Paul Rogers is one of my like absolute icons growing up, and then we have Ron and James Dio, which is just the greatest ever. Period. And then we've got Bruce Dickinson. Those are my top three.
Great choice.
All right. Well, I mentioned Blue Murder, so I'll go with John Sykes again. That guy's great. Beyond that, I mean, I'll say because I'm a guitar player, I'll stick to guitar players. I could say singers too. I mean, Sykes was a singer, but he's a guitar player too. I'll go with James Hetfield, and I'll go with this on the basis of his rhythm guitar playing and his songwriting, because I think that's, you know, he's not really. I mean, he has a couple leads. I think some of the songs. He's not a lead player, but that's what he really brings to the table. I think that's really cool. And then I'll go with Michael Schenker.
Okay, so do you prefer then vinyl or digital?
I mean, I think nothing, because of the simplicity, I tend to listen to digital more when I'm, in the gym or just going around in the car, whatever. Car usually CD actually, but yeah. Vinyl, nothing beats it in terms of, just having the physical product there, being able to open up the case and fucking, smell it, read all the stuff. Like that's the best way to listen to music for the experience. Sonically, I think you can do better. You can do better digitally. You can do better on the CD, but just the experience of the vinyl says it all to me.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say like it's they both have their own place. Like, I can't bring my vinyl like turntable and headphones around with me when I'm at the gym. Like, let alone a stack of records too. Like, so like the digital there, and I think just because the digital, like so many more people now around the world can like experience your music. I think that's the coolest thing in the world. But yeah, like, the vinyl is you pick it up and you see it, and it's like, that's how you really like, if you want to get to know the music, if you really want to listen to an album, you get the vinyl, because that's how you experience it. You can actually see like who created it. Like, you don't really see that on digital. You can't see who's in the band and who did what and who did the artwork. And I think that's kind of sad, because like, it's a lot of fucking work to put together a record.
Yeah. And god damn it, if you want to support a band, you get their album,
Yes, absolutely.
I'll say really quick too, like with the sound quality, I think, most people, they say vinyl sounds better because when you listen to vinyl, you tend to have a nice turntable and speaker system, and like that's a much better. You should always, if you can, listen to music in stereo, because that's how it's made to be listened to, but. And most people, they listen to digital, they just have their phone or their shitty little ear pods or whatever. And it's like, yeah, no wonder you think digital sounds worse. But if you have a really good, really high-end sound system and you have the digital file is technically more transparent. The vinyl colors the sound a little bit, and it gives it like that warmth, and it makes it feel more vintage. and like a lot, like I really like that sound. So I'm not like but in terms of quality, like some people like to argue, it's like, well, it's really the speakers that you listen to with it. The file wise, it's kind of the same. So
someone was telling me that this guy's got he has different speakers for different vinyl albums, which is a bit weird. So he keeps unplugging. Yeah,
I mean,
each their own.
I like it.
So
their own each. Right. Okay. So, what song from the live album would wake you up in the morning?
Would wake me up in the morning.
I mean, I would say the opener would wake you up just based on how the song starts. I think that's a great alarm clock.
Yeah. Well, personally, I don't like to be waking up so abruptly, man. I think I'd go with Rhythm of Desire. The opener was Fall in Line. Rhythm of Desire, though, that's about halfway through the set. That's the opener of the second side, if you get the vinyl. It starts with a guitar solo. It's like a little swell thing, and then it kind of gradually builds up. And I think that's a really cool. Yeah. It's a really cool way to enter a song, So if we're talking about waking up, I'll go with that one.
So then, if this is about your own personalities each. So if there was a song about your personality, what would it be called? Like a made-up song?
This is an interesting question because to be honest with you, I think that's just what all the Wings of Steel stuff is, man. It's like it's our personality in the music. So I don't know. I mean, if I was to answer that question, make something up, it'd be like, all right, well, Leo, I guess write another song, and what are we gonna call it? And okay, we call it. All right, there's your answer. So
yeah,
that's kind of how I would. I don't know.
Well, I've got one for you actually. Shut the fuck up! I'm trying to sleep.
There you go.
There we go. All right. What about you, Leo?
Oh man, that's a great question, dude. I'm
Sweet Abroad. Fuck me,
maybe.
Where's songs out from? Well, I'm done anyway. Sorry.
Yeah,
I've not been drinking. Dude, honestly, I've been drinking tea.
Yeah, dude, I'm sorry, man. I would need more time to think about that one to give you a proper answer. I don't have one for you.
It's cool. It's fine. Not a problem. All right. Do you prefer beer or pizza?
Probably pizza. I don't want. I mean, look. I mean, I play in a heavy metal band. I know how sacred that beer is. So, like, I don't want to piss anybody off by saying that. But I think personally, I'd probably have pizza a little bit more than beer. And to be honest with you, I don't. Well, yeah, beer, pizza.
Yeah. Well, I think I feel like you can take there are a lot of different types of beers, and people can get really like intricate with it. I'm a very simple beer drinker when I do drink beer. But I feel like with pizza, like there's so many things you can put on there. It's more universal. So I will go with the universal option, actually.
I like that. Yeah. Are you guys, as a band, saints or sinners?
We're both.
All right, and the final one's really important, right? So Donald Trump, Joe Biden, or Kermit the Frog?
Oh, dude, Kermit the Frog, man. Kermit the Frog.
Yeah, I agree.
He's green and sits on a rock and sings.
Yep. That if that guy was running the U.S., man, the world would be a very peaceful place.
That's what the world needs, man.
All right, guys, I want to thank you so much for your time, and again, congratulations on the live album and for everything you do for the metal scene. Do you have any final words for your fans, our viewers, and listeners?
Yeah, okay, right.
No, go ahead.
Just a huge thanks to everyone who pre-ordered Live in France. It's really made a huge difference for us. We're very stoked on how it came out, and it's great to hear the response from so many of you. And yeah, again, thank you so much. Because of you, we get to do what we do, and we will keep doing it for a long time.
And also, if you have not yet checked out Live in France, you can check it out on basically any streaming platform or digital, like YouTube and Spotify and Apple. If you look it up, you'll find it. And then also for CDs and vinyls, I mean, they might be a little bit difficult to get in the UK because we don't quite have a distribution set up there. But If you're really dying for it, we have at our website wingsofsteelband.com. We got a black vinyl, we got a CD for Live in France, and also too for our other 2 records, the Gates of Twilight and Wings of Steel EP. We got plenty of vinyls and CDs for those releases as well. So yeah, thanks again for all the support, and we hope to make it out to the UK or wherever you are living as soon as possible.
The time has gone.